I'm Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter. With me is Sam Richter. We do some coaching. We do a lot of work online helping people. We're talking here about how do you find better prospects. So Sam, introduce yourself, then we'll kind of jump in.
Hi, this is Sam Richter, and I speak all over the world on what's called sales intelligence. And as Mark mentioned, we've teamed up on a lot of different programs together. We do some virtual coaching, do a lot of really cool things together, and super excited to be sharing with you some ideas on prospecting. How do you grow your business and make a lot more money by finding the right people?
So Sam, before we hit the record button, you were telling me some stuff about LinkedIn and some ways to use Google and so forth. So, hey, all in terms of how do you find better prospects? So share with the audience.
Well, I think the first part, and I know this is something that you talk about, Mark, is finding the right customer, the ideal customer profile. And what does that mean? That means really looking at who are your existing accounts, your existing customers, where do you make the most money, and who do you like doing business with? And remember, there's a key thing there. Just because someone's buying a lot of stuff from you, that might not be a great customer because they might not be fun to deal with, or they might be calling customer support. I know, Mark, maybe you can tell a little bit before we launch into how to find them, that concept of best customer profiling, because I know you focus a lot on that in your programs.
Well, yeah, it is, because if you don't have the best customer profile, what happens is you wind up just shotgunning yourself all over the place. Mm-hmm. And we all know that prospecting is hard enough as it is. So the more I can just target my focus against a very small audience, because what it allows you to do is it really allows you to spend more time with fewer prospects.
Yeah.
That's always the challenge that people say, how do you find those better prospects? So you've got this better profile, or this perfect customer profile. Mm-hmm. Sam, tell people, how do they then find more people like that?
Sure. So let's use an example. Let's say you've done your best customer profile. You've determined that your best customers are CEOs of manufacturing companies in Denver. So how do you find those people? Well, the good news is they're out there. You just have to know how to look. Now, one of my favorite list building tools is LinkedIn. Why? A, it's free, and B, a lot of people will keep their own LinkedIn profile up to date. So it's theoretically a more up-to-date list building tool. How do you use the free version of LinkedIn to find CEOs of manufacturing companies in Denver? Here's a little tip. So one of the things that I teach in sales intelligence, it's called Boolean Logic, or it's mathematical search syntaxes that you would use in Google to get a really good search result. And sometimes those search syntaxes can be 15, 20, 30 words long, but you can use those same techniques within tools like LinkedIn. Let me give you an example. So you go into LinkedIn. Now, what I'm looking for, again, is CEOs of manufacturing companies in Denver. So in the main LinkedIn search form, I'm going to type in CEO space or has to be in all uppercase, or space Chief Executive Officer. Chief Executive Officer within quotation marks. Now, let me break that down. I'm saying, LinkedIn, you have to find me the word CEO. When I put or in all uppercase, I'm telling LinkedIn, give me this or give me that. CEO or Chief Executive Officer, when you put it in quotes, LinkedIn or any search engine is going to treat the words within quotations as a single entity. So CEO or in all uppercase, Chief Executive Officer in quotes, run my search. Okay, I'm going to get a bunch of results. I'm going to click on the People tab. Now, once I'm on the People tab, over on the right-hand side, I'm going to click on the Filters button. So on the People tab, we're probably going to have millions of results, but by clicking on the Filter tab, we're going to filter out some of those results. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to choose industry, I'll type in manufacturing. In location, I'll choose Denver, I'll choose apply filter, and voila, all of a sudden, I'm going to get CEOs of manufacturing companies located in Denver.
Now, that's a pretty cool tool, but there's a lot of people that aren't on LinkedIn, a lot of industries that really don't resonate with LinkedIn. How do I find those people?
Yeah, you're correct, Mark. It's estimated that only 20% of C-level executives actually have an open and an up-to-date LinkedIn profile. The good news is there are other search engines out there. There are other tools out there that collect information on executives. One of them is called ZoomInfo. Now, ZoomInfo has always been a great database on executives. Now, they were recently purchased by Discover.org. Discover.org is a great sales intelligence gathering database. It's wonderful, but it can kind of be expensive. Now, I want to back up. If you're a company, if you're an individual that's doing a ton of prospecting, You might actually want to invest in discover.org. You might want to invest in LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Now, most of us are just doing the occasional prospecting. So let me share with you how you can sometimes back in to some of these resources, just like I just shared with LinkedIn. So Zoom Info, again, it's out there and it's looking at things like biographies, and it's scraping the internet to build a database of executives. So how do you get it for free? Here's a little trick. Same search we did earlier. CEO or in all uppercase, Chief Executive Officer. But now I'm going to do this search in Google. So not in Zoom Info, I'm going to go to google.com. I'm going to type in CEO or Chief Executive Officer plus with a space before and after the plus, manufacturing plus space before and after the plus, Denver. Now here's the magic trick. I'm going to use Google to backdoor into Zoom Info. I'm going to do site colon, S-I-T-E with a colon, those two dots, site colon, zoominfo.com/P. P stands for person. So CEO or Chief Executive Officer plus manufacturing plus Denver, site colon, zoominfo.com/P. In our Google search results, we'll pull up a few hundred CEOs, Chief Executive Officers of manufacturing companies in Denver.
Now, what you just did was a pretty long process, and you said something plus. Help me understand. Do you have to put 2 plus signs in there?
Well, when you're doing complex Boolean searching, you want to use as many of these search syntax algorithms as possible. Now, when you're actually running a shorter search like I just explained, you're probably going to get the same results if you use a plus or you don't use a plus. But by using a plus, what it helps you do is start thinking mathematically, because that's really when you're doing Google searching or searching on LinkedIn or really any tool, this Boolean search syntax, understanding the mathematical language will really help you go from hundreds of millions, sometimes billions of results to just the few dozen maybe that you care about.
I now know why I like you so much, because you are really smart with with how you figure this all out. Now, let's cut, because you've also built an engine yourself. You've built kind of a search engine that does all this for you, right?
Yeah, it's called the Sales Intel Engine, and people can learn more about it at www.sellingintel.com. And what the engine does is it's really a search engine overlay. So it lays on top of search engines like Google and other search engines. And so instead of you having to know these mathematical algorithms, you could just go in this example, I could go in and type in CEO, manufacturing, Denver, and then the engine will do all the work underneath it. And it'll create a 30 to 50 word algorithm. The business/sales intel engine, www.sellingintel.com. So now, Mark, let me ask you a question. So I've got my list of CEOs in Denver in the manufacturing industry. I got some contact information on these folks. What's the best way to get at them? Should I call them? Do I email them? Do I link with them on LinkedIn? What do you think is the most effective way of doing this? In this example, kind of a cold outreach, because theoretically these people don't know who we are.
Yeah, and of course we don't have 2 hours to drill down on this, and we'll help people out here in a bit. But I always say pick up the phone and make the call. People are so hesitant, but I say pick up the phone and make the call, because you don't know what you don't know. Here's the whole key thing when you make the call. You know, you just use the word cold call. People would say that's a cold call. I don't think it's a cold call when you know that you can make a difference in people in this industry. Because, you know, I mean, if you know, you used to play college football. So that means, you know, if I know something about college football, I can call you. Now, that's not a cold call, because I know you're interested in it.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the key thing, because what we have to do is target our search to this ideal customer profile. And when we know we can help them in that industry, we're now reaching out to them to help them. Now, the process with which we do that, we can do that through any number of different ways. But what I love to do is to lead with that piece of information or question about something of relevance to them. What's happening in their industry? What's happening in their business? And again, that whole sales intel engine can help really answer the questions as to what it is. But the key thing is that I'm not calling people up and saying, hi, I'm Mark Hunter, I want to sell you something. No, because people are going to get turned off by that. when I call you, I've got 3 seconds to engage you. And if I don't engage you with something meaningful, and that meaningful is a value to you, you're going to click. And this is the same problem that I find a lot of people have when it comes to prospecting, or when they come to leaving a voicemail.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Mark Hunter. And well, click. I'm going to hit *5, delete 7, #9, whatever it is. I'm not going to listen to the voicemail. The key piece with any prospecting is I've got to immediately come out of the chute and capture you with keywords, a key sentence that's going to be of relevance to your industry, to your business, to a critical need that you have. And again, the way I do that is because if I'm targeting by industry, I know what's going on in that industry.
Sure.
If I'm targeting by company, well, guess what? I can take that same process you used and drill down even further to find out what's happening in that company. Now, the process we use is going to vary. In other words, the length of time we do to do research. But like you always say, it only takes 10 seconds to find something meaningful on somebody. Well, now, wow, 10 seconds. If I can spend 10 seconds to get something meaningful, isn't that going to increase the value of my call by 100%?
Well, for sure. For sure. And I think it's, and again, if you're a salesperson that has the luxury of maybe only making, 10, 15, 20 calls a day, then I think really even doing something very simple, like typing the company name into Google. And again, a little trick, put the company name within quotation marks, getting your search result, but then on the Google tab, clicking on the news button, just finding a piece of relevant news about the other person, the other company, what's going on in their world. So that can be the first words out of your mouth. Now, sometimes if you're in sales, you have to do 20, 30, 50 calls a day. Well, it might not be realistic to do Google searching on every company, or the reality is not every company is going to have news out there on them that's relevant or current. But even then, you can do some industry searching where you're going to find a relevant piece of information that will be important to every one of those calls. So again, using our examples of CEOs in Denver and manufacturing, we might go in and do a Google search on manufacturing plus trends or in all uppercase issues. Do a Google search on that, click on the news tab, and you might find things like CEOs are really concerned with, for example, the tariff issue with China. Read an article, and now you can open up your call with that information. Hey, I know that CEOs just like you, or hey, Mark, I'm sure you've read the recent Wall Street Journal article from this morning talking about tariffs and how it impacts manufacturers. I had to pick up the phone and call you. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yes, well, it is. And this brings up another piece that I say so often. You need to segmentize who you're calling. Segmentize. There's a real technical term. But today, I'm going to be calling people in this industry.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, I'm going to be calling people in this industry.
Right.
Today, I'm calling this geography, because when I get that talking point, it's amazing how much more effective I can. Now, I may be a person who's charged with making 100 calls a day. Okay, fine. But you know what? Not every one of those 100 is going to have the same weight. So there may be 10 of those calls that I'm going to do 30 seconds or 45 seconds worth of research on. There's going to be another 10 or 20 that I'm going to do, 10 seconds worth of research. And the other 70, I'm not doing much research at all. I just know the industry they're in.
Yeah, you're going to use that generic research.
Right. So again, it's segmentizing. Now, one of the whole key things, the reason we love talking like this is because we do this quite frequently. We do this every month in our coaching program, which the sales intel engine that you talked about is part of. And we do these coaching calls, and we have a whole host of things. And Sam, why don't you talk a little bit about what's in that?
Maybe you'll answer the question by first answering the why. Why does someone need a coaching program? And here's the why. Because sales is really hard. And you might have an outstanding sales manager, or you might not have anybody holding you accountable. But it's always good to have other people on your team sharing ideas. Now, getting a sales coach can be super expensive, a one-on-one sales coach. So what Mark and I have put together is a program called High Profit Sales Coaching, using all the techniques that Mark teaches in his best-selling books, High Profit Sales, Prospecting, and what I teach in Sales Intelligence. And every month, I do a coaching call. Mark does a coaching call. Sometimes we'll do coaching calls together like this one. We also have a whole video library of best practices and tools and resources like downloadable scripts, meeting guides, and the sales intel engine, which we talked about earlier. So that's what you'll find at www.highprofitsalescoaching.com. Really tips and ideas like this. But the nice thing is our sales coaching calls are live. Now, not everybody can watch them live, so they're recorded as well, but they're live, meaning that our members of the High Profit Sales Coaching Program can actually ask questions live. And Mark, maybe you can share a couple of examples of how you've done that with folks and the results that people have achieved.
Well, yeah, I mean, the results we've achieved have been tremendous, because one of the calls that I do each month is I take all the questions that have come into me. And I had a gentleman who couldn't be on the call last month. He owns a manufacturing company, just like what we've been talking about. Had a real challenge. He emailed me the question, and I was able to answer that in there. Now, what's nice is it's confidential, so it's not like but wow, you get to benefit from hearing how I'm answering other questions. And it's always amazing, the insight. I did a call last week where I talked about how do you keep a prospect engaged? And a person shot me back a note. They had to catch the recording. They weren't able to be on it live. And I said, wow, that's exactly what I needed right now. So I think that's one of the big things. It's relevant, it's personal, it's insightful, and most of all, it really does get results.
That's the kind of fun stuff we do, and hopefully provide value to all of our members and to people watching the webinar today. You know, how do you get some simple, incredibly practical ideas that will just make your job a little bit easier, a little bit more efficient, hopefully a little bit more profitable as a salesperson.
We need to end this. Sam, your other website is what?
Yep. So it's www.sellingintel, sellingintel.com, sellingintel.com. And the coaching program, which comes with the Sales Intel Engine, is www.highprofitsalescoaching.com.
And trust me, Sam is brilliant. I'm just Mark Hunter. And the website is thesaleshunter.com, but I really encourage you to check out highprofitsalescoaching.com. Hey, thanks so much, folks. We're out of here.